Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Prod Brownie, and today we're going to be going over how to make beats like this. This is going to be my first video on YouTube, so I hope it goes well, and I hope you guys find value in it. Hope it helps you, or maybe you just find it interesting. I don't know. Hopefully it's cool. So in today's video, I'm going to be sampling this thing I found off of, what was it? Sampler.io, yeah, Sampler.io. If you don't know Sampler.io, it's a website where you can just like click a button and it'll give you a random sample, or you can click it and just get a bunch of them, and it's super cool, right? So I just did it for a while until I found something like this. If you don't want to like look for like random samples on Sampler.io, you can just go on Looperman or Splice, and a bunch of people post loops for people to use. As long as you give them credit, it's all good. So yeah, anyways, let's just get right into how I made this melody first off. And let me just start this off by saying this is gonna be for like the very beginner. This is gonna be for like the person who just downloaded FL Studio, finally got off FL trial mode, right? To cook up, but they got no idea what's going on. All right, we've all been there. Honestly, I still feel like I'm kind of there, but you know, I got enough to teach y'all. So once you get your sample, which you know mine's right here, you can drag it into this application on FL called Fruity Slicer. You drag your sample into it. I already did it, so I'm not gonna do that now, but yeah, drag your sample into it, and you click this right here, and I like to chop it by beat. I guess, you guys can't see the drop down menu, that pisses me off. But yeah, you click this and the drop down menu come up, and you go to like the middle, like right here, and it'll say beat, and it'll slice it up into like little things like this. And pretty much if you do it like this, it's gonna play it normally, how it normally would. Right, that's the sample. That's just like how it normally plays. But with the way it's chopped up, you can move each individual part, right? So like if I just want to have this playing over and over, you can. So yeah, once you get that chopped up into beats, you can do it like by half a beat. But I mean, if you really want to get creative with it, just depends what you want to do. For me, this worked out great. So I made this after a while, just messing around with it. I got this. Also, by the way, before I go any further, when you get your sample, find the BPM it's in, right? And if you don't know what BPM it's in, either you can click it by just like tapping the tempo, or you can right click on the sample, and then it will say detect tempo on the drop down menu, which you can't see, which sucks. So, and I'll give you like an approximation, and then you can just use that. Like this, I think that's what I did here. Yeah, 142.9. I will never use a random BPM like that if it wasn't for like the tempo detection on FL Studio. I got a second part where I chopped it up like this as like a bridge. For a bridge, I think I use this. Just super wavy, right? Just vibe smooth myself. Alright, cool. Yeah, so y'all can see added an EQ. I'm pretty sure this took the low end out and some high end to make the sound like the sample. When you're sampling, you really do want to take the low end out of your melodies in order to make room for the bass and 808s. The low frequencies in music, you really can't have like multiple sources unless like there's sidechain, but don't worry about that. If you're a beginner, don't worry about that. You need to make room for your bass in your melody. Okay. Take out the low end, simple, right? Literally, you can just go click the arrow until you get to 20 hertz plus 18 hertz, and then just drag until like all the low end is out. Okay. Fruity limiter, I think I use this as a compressor, which like pretty much the point of this is to make the quieter parts of the sample just as loud as the loud parts by bringing the peaks down, and then like this is your actually visualize it so I can just show you guys the parts that it has to like subtract. It's like making those parts quieter, and then this gain, it's like it turns up the whole thing, right? So you got like a bunch of peaks, it's just gonna flatten those peaks and then bring it louder. So it's gonna make the whole thing louder and more compressed. You know, it's compression. So threshold. This is the level that the compressor is looking for the sound wave to go past. So once it goes past this, the compressor will activate, and then the ratio tells it how many decibels to lower it once it goes past that point. So negative 21 decibels is our threshold. You can see that. No, you can't. Got right around here. You guys will see it. Negative 21 decibels is our threshold. And then for our ratio, we have 7.8 to 1. So that means for every decibel that it goes past negative 21 decibels, the compressor is going to squash it down 7.8 decibels, right? And the attack is how fast it does this, and then release is how fast it lets it back up to its normal level. And then sustain is how long it keeps it at the squashed level, like the exact squash level before the release and the attack initiate. Kind of difficult to explain that, but yeah. And after that, we got reverb, which just makes it sound. The sound is like bouncing. It has reverberations, right? Because how sound works is that it doesn't just like, sound doesn't hit a surface and then stop. It hits the surface and then like bounces around, right? So reverb software is gonna simulate that. I can just show you guys what the reverb, simply what the reverb sounds like. That's just the reverb signal, right? Only the wet signal for the reverb. But and then you combine that with the normal signal by turning down the mix knob, and yeah, you get a cool little something. And honestly, I'm not gonna explain all this because it's not too complicated, but you can just fuck with the presets. They're good enough, honestly. Like FL Studio gives you good presets, so you just use them. This kind of beat, I was going for like bouncy hi-hats, but like, yeah, kind of like bouncy hi-hats. Right? Simple, but it's got some rolls in it, right? So it keeps you moving. And then it's got like I don't even know, I guess a gallop, a stutter. I have no idea what to call this, but I'm gonna call it a gallop. But yeah, for hi-hat rolls for beginners, I know you're probably looking at like, what is a hi-hat roll? It's literally just like when your hi-hats, there's a bunch of them. This is a hi-hat roll. There it is right there. And there's two ways you can do this. You can go and you can change to half step, get your paintbrush, and just paint them in. Simple, right? Right, just like that. Or you can do what I do, which might be like low-key the harder way, but I've just done it the whole time. Take your little thing, place it anywhere you want, boom, drag it. Alt U brings up the chopper, and you can make it a super like fast roll, or you can do like a normal roll, or you can do like a super fast roll, which that just doesn't sound good. Maybe it does, like if you fuck with the velocity. Okay, yeah. Okay, that guy sounds cool. But anyway, get sidetracked. So I took out like this part right here, like this, no hi-hats. This part, no hi-hats, and that's just to leave room for like bounce, right? If you want bounce in your beats, you have to take out sounds, right? Because the way bounce works is that it sounds coming in and out and then back in, right? It's not just like boom, 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 boom. It's like boom, 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 right? You need space in between it, and you need to have like pauses, right? If you take stuff out and then bring it back in, it's gonna make the listeners super interested. It's gonna keep them listening, right? So you gotta keep that going. If you have the same thing going over and over and over and over again, and it just doesn't stop, it's gonna get boring. It's gonna get really boring. I think I added some reverb on this clap. Just a little bit of reverb. I use like the drum room reverb, and then turn the wet knob all the way up, and then mess around with this. And yeah, your claps go on this spot right here. All right, they'll always go there. All right, unless, I mean, you can move them around, but for beginners, I'd recommend staying on this placement right here. The bounce spots are right here, 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 and here. All right, these spots right here. Utilize these placements right here if you for the most bouncy snares and claps, all right? Or just any perk at all. These right here are your slots. These placements. Like, I'll play with the hi-hat so you guys can kind of hear the bounce more. Right, super, just like that's where you get your bounce from, right? And then I use this reverse open hat to at least like gives a lot of emphasis, because I like the way this melody hit, dude. When it hits, it goes like the bling, bing. Right, it's cool. So I wanted to really emphasize that like first hit, and I did that with a reverse open hat, which sounds like this. And a lot of drum kits have them, but if you don't have any reverse open hats, guess what you can do? Take an open hat, reverse it. It's kind of crazy. Right, just like that. Just like that's the bounce. And then this perk right here, just like I showed y'all, right in those bounce slots. Except for this. You can do that too, right? I mean, you can do it, but like, I feel like a different type of rhythm. And then just for the normal open hats, I did this. Right? It like kind of starts quiet and then goes loud. You can mess with velocities and do that, by the way. If you want to adjust the individual loudness of each like note, you can do that with the velocities. For the 808s, my favorite part of every beat is doing the 808s. What I want to do is first find what scale your sample's in, and if you don't know that, just search up like AI scale finder and then drag your sample into that and use whatever it gives you. Yeah, you can just pull up a sampler after you find your scale. Let's say it was like D minor, right? You go here, the stamp thing, and I guess you can't see the drop down menu, but you go down to minor natural, and in parentheses it will say Aeolian, and you'll place it on D. Now you have a D minor, and you can just copy that, boom, D, shift, click, right on, shift, click, copy it, move it, right, boom, and you can do that, follow it, stretch it, and then now you have a scale, and you can move your 808 around until it literally just like fuck around until you find it. Swear to God, like that's it. That's what the 808s by themselves sound like this. So first things first, drag him in. You can boost him a little bit with this. You can just boost the gain. I boosted it just a little bit, literally 1%. And you want to go into this little thing right here. Go into volume and then make it a volume envelope. I don't know what this looks like at first, I forgot, but turn everything down and then turn the hold all the way up. Everything down, hold all the way up, and it should look like a square. And what this does is it makes it play the note, and then when you let go, it's done. Alright, so that way it won't run into the other bass notes. Like, do more with that by making it cut itself each time it plays. So if it's playing and then it plays again, it will stop the other one and start playing the new one. And let me just show y'all what that sounds like without that on. Y'all hear that? Right? I mean, y'all heard that. Come on. No bueno. No bueno. We don't want that. Cut self and do this. And no problem. Let's show you guys the techniques I did. So normal, right? If you want to have like a pause in your 808s, right? Because you're creating bounce, like I said, we're creating bounce, man, right? You gotta take certain parts out, and what I wanted to do was take this out. But the beat, like the way with the melody and the whole beat, like it just didn't sound right. So I added the same note but an octave lower, so like you couldn't really hear it, but you could still feel it. Right? I'm not sure if you guys can hear it. You probably can't. I don't even know what you would even call this technique. Let's give it a name right now. This right here is called the dead man slide. Yeah, we're gonna call it a dead man slide though. So what you do, you take your bass note and you turn the velocity all the way down. Right? Velocity. This is your velocity all the way down, all the way down. And what that does is, I mean, first off, it's gonna stop the bass from playing, right? because it's just literally just nothing plays because there's no velocity, which means no volume, and but it still has all like the cut self thing going on, right? So it's cutting itself and it's stopping. When you add a slide note, it's still gonna work, okay, which is awesome. So it's gonna be sliding from D to A. And if I put it up all the way, you're gonna hear it a lot, because now it's sliding from D6 to A4. I think that just about does it. I think I'm just gonna let the beat play out, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Have a nice day.